April 15, 1912, Titanic, the unsinkable luxury liner, vanishes beneath the Atlantic, taking over 1,500 lives with it. The world is left in shock, but in the days that follow, another mystery emerges. Where exactly did the Titanic sink? The ship's wireless operators sent out distress coordinates, yet when rescue teams arrived, the wreck was nowhere to be found. For decades, explorers, treasure hunters, and scientists searched for its final resting place, but the Atlantic was unforgiving. Why did it take 73 years to find one of the most famous shipwrecks of all time? And how did the secret operations of the Cold War ultimately lead to its discovery? This is the incredible story of Titanic's lost wreck, the failed searches, and the high-tech mission that finally revealed its secrets. In the days after the disaster, rescue ships combed the ocean for survivors and wreckage. The CS Mackay Bennett, a cable-laying ship repurposed as a recovery vessel, was among the first to arrive. Instead of finding a floating debris field with lifeboats and bodies, the crew saw only the open ocean. Titanic had disappeared entirely beneath the waves, leaving behind only shattered wood, furniture, and the occasional life vest. This baffled early investigators. The ship's distress call placed it at 41 degrees, 46 minutes north, 50 degrees, 14 minutes west, but it was later discovered to be nearly 13 miles off course from its actual resting place. This inaccuracy would doom early search efforts. In the years that followed, the Titanic's exact location remained unknown, fueling speculation. Some believed the ship had sunk in one piece, others thought it had broken in half. Without photographic proof, the world was left guessing. By the 1920s, explorers attempted to locate Titanic using rudimentary deep-sea scanning. In 1929, oceanographer William Beebe proposed using a diving bell to reach Titanic, but the technology simply didn't exist. In the 1930s, a more ambitious approach was taken. Scientists tried dropping explosives into the ocean, hoping to use sonar echoes to detect the wreck. These crude methods failed, and the search was abandoned. Decades passed. In the 1950s, sonar technology improved, and deep-sea submersibles became more common, but no one was willing to invest in an expensive search for a shipwreck that by then was considered a lost cause. Then came the Cold War. By the 1960s, the U.S. Navy had developed classified deep-sea exploration technology, not for Titanic, but to track Soviet submarines. One eccentric attempt to locate Titanic during this period involved a millionaire who hired a trained monkey to use a pendulum to divine Titanic's location. This bizarre experiment went nowhere, but serious efforts soon followed. In 1973, oceanographer Robert Ballard emerged as a leading figure in deep-sea exploration. Ballard, obsessed with Titanic since childhood, believed it could still be found. But the ocean was vast, and without a targeted search area, it was like finding a needle in a haystack. In the early 1980s, Ballard approached the U.S. Navy for funding, pitching the Titanic search as a scientific mission. The Navy agreed, but with a catch. In reality, they had no interest in Titanic. They wanted Ballard to locate two missing nuclear submarines, USS Thresher and USS Scorpion, which had mysteriously sunk in the Atlantic. The Navy agreed to let Ballard use their cutting-edge technology for Titanic, but only after completing the submarine mission. Ballard's team successfully mapped the wreckage of both subs, and in the final weeks of their expedition, they turned their attention to Titanic. But instead of looking for the ship itself, they tried a new strategy, searching for Titanic's debris field, the scattered wreckage left as the ship broke apart. This changed everything. On September 1st, 1985, Ballard's team, using the deep-sea robot Argo, scanned the ocean floor. After weeks of failure, something appeared on the cameras, a lone boiler identical to Titanic's. Then, as the robotic camera panned across the seabed, it revealed the unmistakable shape of the Titanic's bow, still largely intact, looming out of the darkness. The ship had finally been found. But the discovery raised as many questions as it answered. The world had long debated whether Titanic had broken in half before sinking. The wreck provided undeniable proof. The ship had indeed split in two. The bow and stern lay nearly 2,000 feet apart, confirming the catastrophic structural failure that many survivors had described. News of Titanic's discovery shocked the world. For the first time in over 7 decades, people could see real images of the legendary ship. The haunting photos showed rusting railings, portholes, and even the grand staircase's remains. But not everyone was thrilled. Almost immediately, debate erupted. Should the Titanic wreck be disturbed? Ballard and his team believed it should be left as a memorial to the victims, but others saw a treasure trove of history. By 1987, a private company began retrieving artifacts from the wreck, including dinner plates, shoes, and even a piece of the hull. This sparked controversy. Was it preserving history or grave robbing? Legal battles ensued over who owned Titanic. The wreck lay in international waters, making jurisdiction murky. Over the years, Titanic tourism grew, with billionaires funding deep-sea trips to see the wreck firsthand. The deterioration of Titanic became a new concern. By the 2010s, scientists warned that deep-sea bacteria were eating away at the ship, turning it into a fragile skeleton. By 2019, a new expedition revealed shocking news: Titanic was collapsing. The famous captain's bathtub, once a visible landmark, had vanished completely. Experts predicted that within 20 to 30 years, much of the ship would be gone forever. Now,